what's funny is this. We don't have to go super deep into it because I know we've been doing this for a while, but it's not that interesting of a piece. But Samantha Power, who was the ambassador to the UN under Obama,
Might as well mention this.
One
Yeah.
of one of the great people, one of the great political minds.
she did a book review of this book in '04. I wasn't going to touch on like the whole thing, but it's not even her quote. It's George W. Bush, but it was just interesting because it kind of ties into this. So Bush is talking about like he's describing the Islamic militants in regard to like Al Qaeda and stuff as fascists, and so he says he's comparing quote unquote Islamo-Fascists with the traditional fascists that we've just been talking about, and he says they have the same will to power, the same disdain for the individual, and the same mad global ambitions. And like, holy shit, is that definition of fascism like pretty devoid of any descriptors at all? Like, it doesn't say anything.
So it sort of described himself.
Yeah, and also like the branding of the individual, like Bush, the Patriot Act. Like, what are you talking about? Like disdain for the individual.
Yeah.
Right.
And actually, I think this is actually a good springboard, though, to talk about. I mean, we're gonna get to Japan, right, which is good, but I think we can take a brief detour because obviously, yeah, the term Islamo-Fascism gets bandied about a lot, so it would be good to just sort of briefly address that. So
Definitely.
why is ISIS, why is Al Qaeda, why is Al Nusra, why are they not fascist organizations?
You have to. Well, you have to have a state, right? Like it's all about nationalism.
That's a big one.
And those,
You have to be a state-based party organization, yeah.
I mean, those are also like, are they, to what extent are those like multiracial, like multi-ethnic movements? Right? I'm just thinking through this on the spot.
I mean, they're clearly far right. Like, there's no saying they're not.
I think the reason why we're strapped for answers is because they're so different. It's almost like, how could you compare? Because yeah, they come out. I mean, they don't come out of liberal democracies, right? ISIS didn't emerge because of a crisis in the liberal democracy.
It was just a crisis in general.
It was just a
of, like,
crisis
everything,
created by us.
right?
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
warfare. Yeah.
Although it is an offshoot of the consequences of neoliberalization.
Yes,
Like the invasion of
yeah.
Iraq was a neoliberal project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to add an interesting thought that was posed by Slavoj Žižek, because this isn't necessarily to say that these movements are fascist by the definition that we've been talking about, but rather just here's a similarity they have, is that these movements came about because of the destruction of the secular Arab left. There was no clear opposition to like radical Islamic violence because the states that kind of kept it bottled were utterly destroyed in the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s.
Who was responsible for destroying the secular Arab left?
2 countries. Yeah, America and Britain. Yeah.
Okay, good point, because again that touches on one of the necessary preconditions, which is a weak or non-existent left, which is when fascism can happen. Okay, cool.